Hello there, everyone. Welcome to World Radio Day 2026. This is Yousepha Fawcett. This is JFI Radio. This is Friday, the 13th of February 2026. And guess what? This is my second live broadcast of the day. So, the theme for this year from UNESCO is radio and artificial intelligence, with the subtext, which is AI is a tool, not a voice. So, this particular broadcast, my first one was at 5 a.m., which was for my lovely audience over in Oceania and West Asia. And I'm so delighted. Thank you to all of you that sent me messages that you were live or picking this up halfway through the program. I'm so pleased that the time slot was good for you. This particular one is for my European colleagues, for Asia, and also for Africa, particularly. So, hello and welcome. If you've not seen JFI Radio before, this is it. This is me. I'm a podcaster, and whether you're in Europe or anywhere across Africa as you're starting your day, or maybe even in Eastern Europe and Asia as you enter into your afternoon, you are all very, very welcome to celebrate with me on this World Radio Day. It happens every single year. Now, I mentioned at the beginning, if you haven't met me before, my name is Yousepha Fawcett, and I've spent the last 24 years working around the world as a consultant. And you know what? I've worked in 42 countries, on 5 continents, in 19 industries, and all 5 economic sectors. And that's been from University of Stellenbosch in Cape Town through to the HR Solutions Boss and Kechi Kalu in Port Harcourt in Nigeria. From Andres Lopez at Voksenoplæringsforbundet Inlandet, which is the Norwegian Association for Adult Learning over in Inlandet in Hamar, and from the NGO Biedrība Eurofortis in Latvia to the European Commission in Brussels. From MESI University in Moscow to ENI Oil in Kazakhstan and Novo Nordisk Pharmaceuticals in Denmark. From Sabancı University in Istanbul, yes, I was there, to regional councils in Romania and Bulgaria and Italy and France and Turkey and Hungary and Slovakia and Slovenia and Czechia and Germany and Switzerland and the Netherlands, and I could go on and on and on. I've been so lucky. I have been so lucky to have not only traveled to all of these countries to either teach, to train, to do consulting, to do coaching, to do presenting, running events, but I've met some amazing, amazing people along the way. They just I am blessed. I do a job that I love. I mean, come on. When I was at school, I was told off in every single lesson and in every report and told that I talk too much. Hey, I'm in job now where I can talk too much. I mean, excuse me? This is fantastic. And I've used this skill, if you like, talking. Don't ever let anyone tell you that talking's a bad thing. Just need to know where to sort of rein it in at times. But I've used talking in so many professional areas. I've used it in training. I was a trainer originally. I've used it for instructional design for digital learning, for facilitation. I do academic lecturing. Do you know what? A very clever man said to me about 6, 7 years ago, you know who you are, Simon. You know who you are. The lovely Dr. Simon Jones said to me, "You are my pracademic." And I thought he was just being clever, because he is clever and so eloquent with words. And I thought, well, what's this pracademic? I've never heard of it before. Well, I looked it up. And yes, not to take away from the fact that he was clever and is clever, but pracademic is a real word. It means somebody who is both an academic and someone who is in industry as I was, sort of like a foot in both camps. So that's what pracademic means. And he was absolutely right. I am a pracademic. So there's a lot of me that still has the industry background for so many decades. And then in my later career, more in academia and higher education. And so, of course, I mentioned the training and the digital learning and the facilitation and the academic lecturing, but I also do business excellence assessment. Oh, and don't forget, I've been podcasting since 2015. And you know what? This gives me sort of a very holistic approach to lots and lots of different things and lots of different areas. And yes, I get to talk a lot. A lot. I suppose that's why I love getting involved in World Radio Day. And particularly this year, the UNESCO theme being this radio and artificial intelligence and AI being a tool, not a voice. It's why I've created these live broadcasts for throughout the day to pick up this topic, not with theoretical stuff that I could do in a classroom, but with some real stories. I love telling stories. So this is about me telling stories about AI in not just in education, higher education, but in using AI generally. And I've got a lot of stories to tell. Now, when I first started doing this, celebrating World Radio Day, um, well, I've been podcasting since 2015, and World Radio Day was established by UNESCO in 2011, 2012. So just fairly early on with it all. Um, I used to do live broadcasts all throughout the day, every 2 hours, and it was exhausting. I mean, absolutely exhausting. So I hope you don't mind. I've sort of reduced it to just 5 for now, and, if you get to listen to all 5 live, then congratulations. And if you get to listen to the replays, you will hear different stories coming out each and every time. Now, the story for this live broadcast takes me to my university in Spain. I've been with GBSB Global, based in Barcelona, Madrid, and Malta, for 4 years now. And I do a lot of online tutoring with them, but I do some other things as well, which is really exciting. And one of those things is the story that I'm going to tell you. Now, hold on, quick slurp. You know what? That just proves to you that this really is live, because if it was pre-recorded, I'd have edited that out. But you know what? There's something really exciting about live. I'm just looking at my phone, and Mitchell, thank you. Thumbs up to Mitchell, who is managing my marketing for all of this. He says I'm live, and I am. I'm live on LinkedIn. I'm live on YouTube. I'm live on Facebook. Now, 2 of those platforms, you could chat to me. Because the platform that I use to do this live streaming allows type chat. So if you are in YouTube and you're listening to me, or you are in Facebook on my profile page and listening to me and want to say something, then just type and it'll show up on my console here, and I'll be able to see. And guess what? I can give you a shout out. So please do, if you can. If not, I'll just carry on telling my stories. Now, I mentioned GBSB Global. And I was with them last year for the graduation ceremony in Barcelona, and I will be back this year again. So, Victor, shout out to Victor and to Hind and to Maria, my lovely, lovely colleagues over there. Yes, I will be back donning the mortarboard and the gown and the colours, and celebrating the graduates that are coming through. But there's something else I've been doing, not just teaching there, and that is I've been getting involved in some lunch and learn workshops. Now, last year, these are a really practical way of helping learning. lifelong learning. And last year, I did some of these for GBSB Global and the faculty, and we looked at how ready the uni is for embracing AI. Now, just for that particular contract, I created a 5-point AI readiness framework, and we spent each lunch and learn addressing the key points using one of my favorite tools ever, and that's Padlet. I don't know if you've ever tried Padlet. I absolutely adore it. It's so easy. I use it with a lot of my clients because you can get really good in involvement and engagement. I use it with my students as well. They can use it on their phone, you can use it on a desktop, on a laptop, whatever, and you can engage in the material and get your points across. Anyway, I love it. So I introduced them to what I call the 5-point AI in education readiness framework. And in the show notes, what I will do is I'll put the link on the Padlet from the Padlet into the show notes so you can actually see what it looks like and maybe even use it yourself. You're more than welcome. Just accredit me because that's the professional thing to do. So I want to talk you through or walk you through some of the 5 points. So the first readiness point is all about strategic alignment. So back to GBSB Global, before we touched a single AI tool, we started asking questions. What's GBSB Global's educational mission? Now, they really are about innovation. They do so much that's human-centered business education and really innovative stuff as well. Their alumni is fantastic and they are growing incredibly fast. So we looked at where AI integration needs to enhance their human-centered teaching approach, but not to replace it. That's really important. So a lot of HEIs think that AI is going to replace the tutor. No, it's not. There are lots of different ways that you can use it. Some, I have to say, some lecturers I have known in other institutions use it for automated essay marking. Not so great because remember, AI does have its faults. So you need to be really, really careful if you want to venture down that route. And there are actually better ways to use AI and keep the human element of marking down to you. The second, now that conversation, the one that we had about alignment, it was a lunch and learn, but it could quite easily have taken us the whole afternoon. But for anyone else thinking about looking at strategic alignment and before they're thinking about going into using AI in a higher education establishment, it's important to get clarity about where you're going first before you look at the kind of technological adoption in terms of large language models and how they're going to support you. If you don't spend that time at the beginning, you end up with wasted effort and a lot of misalignment. So it's really important. The second point, readiness point in my framework, is all about capability. How capable were faculty to be able to use AI? So we ran the Padlet, we looked at the 5 points, we looked at identifying where the gaps might be and where the attitude of faculty to AI was in that particular area. And, attitude makes a big difference. If you're not open to new opportunities, then it's really difficult to see how you're going to get the best from AI. So you need to keep your mind open. So it's all about having this growth mindset. Now, I have to say, I really enjoyed and continue to enjoy working with these faculty members at GBSB because they're just so engaging. They get involved in the conversation. They don't just sit on the other side of the screen and take it all in and say nothing. I can just imagine how I mean, if they're that engaging with me, I can imagine how engaging they can be with their students and how their students might feel when they're delivering material in a class. So capability, readiness, really important for readiness point 2. Now, readiness point 3 is about how you use it. So it's pedagogical innovation. And this is where it starts to get exciting. I mentioned earlier that I'm an instructional designer and I like designing learning material, whether it's for training for global corporates or whether it's for academia. And it's another point that could have gone on for a long, long time. I then, at this point, pedagogical innovation, introduced them to the UN's AI competency framework for teachers and students. Now, this was published in October, November 2024. And I have to say, I've been in constant contact with the UN and their approach to their competency framework, and particularly again to Feng Shu, who was one of the authors of the UNESCO that actually put this together. And he knows that I've been talking about it at GBSB Global. I've been talking about it at the Erasmus University of Rotterdam, and whoever else will listen, which, by the way, is all of you now here in the live broadcast. So look out for it. It's the AI competency framework for teachers and students. And so and in various lunch and learns at GBSB Global, I took them through the assessment tool that I created out of that framework and took everybody through it, and they got a chance to assess and focus on where their ongoing learning needed to be at the various levels. So that was readiness point 3. Now, readiness point 4 was all about ethics and ethical boundaries. And it is so important, this readiness check, because it establishes some really clear rules about how to use AI. And I want to share with you a few notes, a few things that might take you forward in terms of thinking about AI, particularly in higher education. So AI can't make final assessment decisions about students' work, and you really do need to tell students if you've been using AI in their materials as well. It is about transparency. The key thing, and I mentioned this in my last broadcast, is that AI doesn't always tell you the truth. And so you need to check and retain editorial control if you're using it for marking, which I don't necessarily recommend, but that's a personal view, nothing more. But if you're using it to help you craft some classes, that editorial control is absolutely vital. Um, the other thing is it's biased, and we need to acknowledge that AI has those biases and either don't include them in the teaching material or express the biases, maybe even use it as part of a learning tool itself. This isn't what I'm telling you. This isn't just a nod to ethics. This is a practical parameter around which you can develop an experiment with AI confidently with your learning material, your teaching material, your online delivery. It's really important that you take stock, and there is a section in that competency framework that forces you to reflect upon this point in a little bit more detail. Now, readiness point number 5 is all about improvement. And there are lots and lots of different ways to approach this one. One thing you could do is set up monthly AI innovation hours. Again, like the lunch and learn type idea, and share what works, share what doesn't work, what can be learned, what can be adapted. And you'll hear me talking a lot about adaptation during today. I'm currently writing my second digital learning book. It's entitled Real Adaptive Humans. And I'm sure I'm going to come back to this point either during today or maybe even in a future podcast. So why does all this matter for World Radio Day? Well, you're thinking, I'm not a lecturer. I'm listening to all this and I'm not a lecturer. Why should I care? Why does this matter for radio? Why does it matter for podcasting? Well, the 5-point framework applies to any industry. It could be a radio station, it could be a podcaster, it could be a trainer, a facilitator. That thing about strategic alignment is a crucial place to start. What's your mission for broadcasting or podcasting? And if you're about authentic human stories, which I am, AI tools, well, they can enhance your storytelling, but not by replacing your voice. That's the important thing. If you're about rapid news coverage, then you might be able to use AI to get some first draft scripts, but you must verify them. Verify the facts, particularly if it's news reports, and make them human. In terms of capability assessment, if you've got a team, if you're lucky enough to have a team that's working with you on your podcasting, your broadcasting, then what could they do with AI? Don't just assume everyone's comfortable or competent with it. Just don't assume that a certain age group or demographic is exactly knows what to do straight away. Assuming is a terrible thing when you're working with a team, I can assure you that. And don't assume everyone's terrified about it either, because you might have some secret AI experimenters in your team who might be able to mentor others. So I don't have a huge team. I haven't given a shout out to Darko. Darko, are you listening over in North Macedonia? Darko is the wonderful talent behind my websites, particularly behind my brand new JFI radio website, and he helped me put that together. So I've got Mitchell doing my marketing for a short while. I've got Darko. I've only got a tiny team. But if you've got a larger team, then maybe there are some opportunities for you to use them and what they know with AI. The other thing is about innovation. What have you always wanted to do, but you couldn't? Now, I'm really ashamed, even though I've traveled all over the world, I'm really ashamed that I don't actually speak any other languages. That is so sad. However, AI does. AI can do it for me. I can have show notes in any language I like. Again, double check, triple check. I use AI for translation. I use Google Translate, and I use DeepL. So I put everything through 3 different places just to check. And yes, obviously it just translates the words and not the essence behind the words. So there will always be a little bit of clunkiness there. But at least it gets past the point of me not being able to speak any other languages. I can produce show notes using AI in any language that you like. In fact, I probably will, after today, go away and create some of these transcriptions in a different language. Um, and the last point, which was about ethical boundaries, just make sure that you establish what yours are very, very early on. Will you disclose that you use AI to your audience? I've already said to you, I use AI for creating short versions of my podcasts. I am learning about Instagram. Mitchell, I am in progress. Work in progress. You have a long way to go to teach me how to understand Instagram. I messed it up terribly yesterday and he put me right. So I can use AI for creating short versions. I can use it for transcription. I can use it for executive summaries. I can use it for translation. Saves me so much time. The other thing is to think about what you won't use AI for. So I never will use AI to clone my voice or produce an automated me. Having said that, though, I just have to tell you something quickly in this particular episode because it's so exciting. I have been fascinated by a robot called Bina 48. Bina 48. And I've been fascinated by her. Yes, she's her to me. To me, she's her since 2010. So Bina 48 is actually a humanoid robot. It's just a bust-like head and shoulders mounted on a frame. And she was developed by Hanson Robotics at the TerraSum Research Foundation in Canada back in 2010. And it was modeled on Bina, a real life Bina, and there's a whole backstory to this. I might summarize it using AI and bring it to you in the show notes for this. But more than 100 hours of the real life Bina were actually compiled into her memory and feelings and beliefs. And because she is connected to the internet, she has since then developed her own set of memories that has gone far beyond. She's been interviewed by Oprah Winfrey. She's been on various talk shows. I find her fascinating. I have been teaching students about her for years and years and years. Some people find her a bit freaky. And I often said that, oh, by the way, if any of you out there know Elon Musk, could you just point him in my direction of JFI Radio, please? Because I need his money. I'd like the only bit, I said I wouldn't clone me, but the only thing I would like is a Head and Shoulders Yousepha. That's what I'd like, and I need his money to do that because I haven't got the money for it. And I'd like to pop that into a classroom somewhere and be sitting at home with my feet up with a hot chocolate and teaching through a robotic me. So please, Elon, if you're out there, in fact, Mitchell, can we make sure that this goes on X just so that just so that Elon can see there's a shout out to him? I need your money, Elon. Let's be clear. Back to the serious side. I don't know why I want to be serious because I think these are great fun. The last bit, if you like, is about continuous learning. Technology is just changing so fast. I have discovered, as I'm a baby boomer, that I really need to keep up to date with everything, and I love it. I know that it has danger points. I'm not silly. I know that it can be misused, but I also have the kind of mind that says, how can we make it better? How can we use AI to make things better and look at it from a positive perspective? Your approach, if you're a podcaster, a broadcaster, a lecturer, a facilitator, a trainer, you need to be engaged with lifelong learning. You can't just talk about it, teach it, etc. It needs to be part of your very being. It needs to be part of your future capability and part of your employability plan. If nothing else, the GBSB work taught me something crucial, that generally people aren't afraid of AI itself. They're afraid of losing what makes their work meaningful, the human element. Faculty in higher education, they often fear losing that genuine connection with students, and broadcasters and podcasters, they fear losing authentic connection with their audiences. But the answer isn't banning AI or believing it completely. It's about working in collaboration on the right things for improved efficiency. But the improved effectiveness, guess what? That still comes from us humans. So that's my rambling for this 9 a.m. live broadcast. Thank you so much for listening. In my next live broadcast, that will be 1 p.m. GMT, and it's a good time for my Middle Eastern audience as it's their afternoon. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about the AI competency framework for teachers. I really hope that you get an opportunity to join me again. And you know what? I love it. Even if you're listening to this on the replays, engage with me. If you want to write to me, my email address is studio@jfiradio.com. Thank you once again, and see you in 4 hours.